Hey everybody, today we're hanging with Colbert. Stick around. Tick, 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 boom. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. Listen, we're back here with Colbert. He's going to talk a little bit about this tree right here. It's one of the more well-known trees and more useful trees down here in the swamps. This is a cypress tree. It's a very long-lived, and it's a very durable, rot-resistant. Oh my God, there's so many uses for this wood, from structural to fire to making ropes and cordage. So let's get over there and see what Colbert has to say about this tree right here.
One thing I've learned over the years, when you're in nature, the more observant you are, the more you learn. The more questions you ask, even if there's no one around to answer it but yourself, the smarter you'll be. So awareness and being observant and asking questions and figuring things out is very critical. If you don't ask any questions, you probably won't ever get any answers. One time I saw a cypress tree with the bark falling off. Big area, about so big, and I said to myself, reckon what happened there? Was it the wind, nature, plant, animal, man? Who did this? And as I asked myself questions and gave myself possible answers, I came to the conclusion that some rodent type animals bark off on purpose. So over a period of time, asking that questions at various times, a squirrel nest fell out of a tree. Being observant and careful, asking questions, I took the nest apart to see how it was made. Sure enough, inside that squirrel nest was cypress bark shredded up, turned into nesting material. So I said to myself, if a squirrel is smart enough to rip the bark off of a cypress tree, wad it up and make nesting material for his nest to keep his warm in nasty weather, I said, if I'm half as smart as a squirrel, I could probably do the same thing and make something out of it. So that started a long process of looking at natural fibers in the forest. Many plants have natural fibers that can be used or processed. So one day in a storm, a cypress tree fell down. I tried to get the bark off and it wouldn't budge. So I waited a month, I waited 6 months, I waited a year. Then the cypress bark started separating from the tree. Once it separated from the tree, I separated the outer from the inner bark and let it air dry. Then I started doing things like making cordage, which is rope. So you simply anchor your material to hold it, and I'm going to make cordage. I'm going to twist it all in that direction, both halves. Twist it tightly. Twist it to the right, wrap it to the left. Twist it as tight as I can get it. So I'm twisting to the right and wrapping it to the left. And I do this, and what that does is I hold the fibers much tighter together, which gives you more friction. The friction keeps it from coming apart and makes it many times stronger than it was if I just used it as it is. Now cypress bark, the inner cypress bark that I'm using, happens to have characteristics like it's fairly waterproof and it's fairly rot resistant. After a period of time, and this particular bark right here is about 7 years old. It's been down in the water for about 7 years and it's starting to become a little bit weak, but it'll still make decent cordage. So this principle that I'm using right here works on almost any natural fiber. I know you don't believe me. So here's another natural fiber. It's dead, dried Spanish moss. It's another material that works quite well for cordage. You simply twist it one way, elongate the fibers, take the sweet gum balls out of it, elongate the fibers and twist them in one direction. As you twist them, it gives you more friction, makes the fibers stick together. Once they stick together really well, then you reverse wrap them. Twist them to the right, wrap them to the left, and you have cordage. Another thing to use with dead, dried, seasoned fibers like this is make yourself a tinder bundle to start a fire. And I like to loosen up the fibers for that so you have airflow between each individual fiber so that if any of the fibers ever catches fire, there'll be enough airflow between the fibers to ignite the one next to it. So I like to make myself a bird nest, wrap around 2 or 3 fingers, make myself an actual nest, just about the right size for a hummingbird. Couple 3 fingers in there tight, and they're pretty. Now to test it to see if it works, you use some type of ignition device. Get the wind blowing away from you, and you check and see if it'll work. Look at that. Now we know that material is suitable for starting your fire. I wonder if this bark here will work. Well, the best way to find out if something will work is do a test. Sometimes a test under various circumstances. So I'll take these fibers, instead of tightening them up, I'll loosen them up. I'll rip fiber from fiber into the finest possible pieces. I like fibers that are about the same size as a human hair, maybe less. A lot of techniques to use by your hands to fluff them up. If particulates fall around in the breeze, you know you got the right material. Fine fibers ignite at much lower temperatures and easier than big thick fibers. How's the saying go? It's easier to use a match and light a stick than it is to light a log. So I'll make myself another little tinder bundle, about like so. If I decide that's not enough, I can wrap around and make it much bigger. About the size of a hummingbird nest or a small bird. Let's see if that ignites. Natural fibers, dried, air dried. Hold it up so the wind doesn't blow the smoke in your face, unless you like smoke in your face, which I don't. I'd say that's good tinder bundle. You learn things by screwing up, you learn things by experiment, you learn things by practice. When things work, you keep doing it, and if you ever have a problem or difficulty with the thing that you're used to using, what I like to tell myself, if it ain't working, try something different. And if you do this, you're constantly learning, but you're learning by the best teacher there is, yourself, curiosity, and awareness. If you're totally well and totally curious and always ask yourself hundreds of questions over time, nature and your observation skills and conditions will teach you what you need to know. Nobody can be a better teacher of you than you. Now sometimes it's helpful to use other people's experience to get started, but the ultimate learner is you. You can go to the best school in the world, sleep and not pay attention, and come out with no education. You can go to the school in the country, be totally aware and totally curious, and read every book and try everything you want to learn, and you'll come out a wise student. Thank you, folks.
This is just for my room.
A lot of ways to rip off bark, but the more skill and experience you've got, the more effective you can be. Hold my beer and watch this. Once you get it off, there's many things to do with it. Weatherproof, long-lasting bark. Lay this bark on the ground and come back 10 years later, it'll still be there. Plus I found it and made something out of it. Processing natural materials into something usable takes experience and skill. It doesn't always take high-tech equipment. Notice I use my hands. You don't need to know the Latin name of most things to see what their application and use is. You simply process them using a variety of simple techniques and see what the product looks like. I think common sense will tell you whether or not that would make good toilet paper, or fire starter, or armpit deodorizer. It's all up to you. There's at least 1,000 users for something like this. It's only limited by your creativity, your ingenuity, your skill level, and your ability to work off and make something out of it. Most people are too lazy. They ain't gonna make it. Work your ass off.
Yeah. Really?
Explanation to follow. Long story on purpose.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, that's the second part. Get Millen over there to watch. I'm showing off.
What?
Stand over there and watch me show off.
You want me in there?
No, I want you to watch her and take the picture. You can't see from there.
Okay.
There's a lot of ways to rough off bark, but the more skill and experience you've got, the more effective you can be. Hold my beer and watch this. I'm supposed to rip all over down.